2020 call to order. A form we have 6 of 7. Other changes in this?
Pray. Holy Father, we come tonight with thankful and grateful hearts for your many blessings, your blessings in ages past, and your help for years to come. And as we come, Holy Father, we ask you to bless our county, bless the citizens in our county, praying to bless my fellow board members, and praying especially for Supervisor Jones, Lord. You know all about his condition. We're praying that you will look down on it and be thy will. We're praying, Lord, that will you use us according to thy will, that everything be done according to their will tonight, and their will only. In your Christ's name we do pray. Amen.
Amen.
I say for join me in pledging allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Over the agenda. We'll get a motion on that.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Made and seconded, we approve the agenda. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Carried unanimous. The motion for approval of minutes.
So moved,
Motion on
Mr.
that.
Chairman. Second.
Made and seconded, we approve the minutes. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Carried. The motion for approval of claims. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second on the approval of claims. Is there any discussion on that? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Public comments?
Yes, we have 4 to sign up and 1 emailed. The email is from Crystal Martin, Gold Hill District. I am writing in support of the board's pending action to use some of the funds from the CARES Act to fund hotspots for homes for our students. We live in the Gold Hill District, and as many other households, we lack the bandwidth to have an appropriate school environment. We have tried doing the offline version this morning, and it has been very confusing and frustrating. It is much easier to follow along via the live Google Classroom links. I am in support of providing these additional necessary resources to students in our county. And Sam Davis, District 5.
Back in March, I spoke to you. Legislation. I was told that couldn't be acted on, hadn't taken effect yet. July 1st, it took effect. It is now granted under Virginia Code 15.2-915, subsection E. Once again, I ask you to say thank you, but no thank you, and go on record as saying that we're not going to pass any more firearms ordinances other than what we already have in place.
Thank you.
Eddie Slagle, District 3.
Chairman, members of the board, Ms. Carter, Ms. Edmondson. Last month, spoke about funding of the rescue squad, and excuse me, as I understand it from reading the board package, Ms. Carter has found a way not to increase taxes and fund the rescue squad until the next budget session. I appreciate her doing this and not raising my taxes for a second time in 2020. If this is indeed the case, and I did read it properly, I hope it is the pleasure of the board to go along with her recommendation and not the 11% increase proposed by the Rescue Squad Committee. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Donnie Shoemaker, District 4.
I was up here about 5 months ago. I brought up the trash issue about the junk cars and stuff down at the White House or Lighthouse, whatever you want to call it. Y'all gonna check into it. So I like to know what y'all come up with, because I see they got more junk cars. And then look like we adding at different places. If you go to Dillon, that's all you see now, junk cars everywhere. I asked because I knew years ago when Maynard Davis had the place, y'all made him put up a fence. And also then they go here, y'all made them put up a green fence. So I just like to know where y'all have got with that.
I think we are addressing the issue at the Lighthouse. Putting up a fence won't even correct the problem there because you cannot have a junkyard in a B1. We are working on that. Difference within 60 days. They have not done. Thanks for speaking on.
And also, Mrs. Shoemaker, Mr. Chairman, if I may, that does lie within my district, and I have had numerous concerns, and I am working with the Code Enforcement Office on that, and also Ms. Edmondson's office. We talked about it Friday, so.
All right, thank you.
With regards to specifically to that, sir. Yes, sir.
Mike Payne, District 4.
Good evening. My name is Mike Payne. I live in the 4th District. I know that with a part of the community not building a new structure for the library is not what was envisioned. I would like to also point out that renovating the old primary school is a better solution to the need of a new library. We are recycling an abandoned building that taxpayers of this county were paying to upkeep. It is a better location, and we are getting a community center to boot. We are getting 2 new facilities for the price of 1. I'd like to commend the board for that. And I have something that came up last month. I wasn't here, but I heard. With the removal of the Confederate monument out here, my reaction to that. In the view of recent movement to rid the country of anything remotely connected to slavery, I thought it would be a good idea to look at the history of the people pushing this agenda. Should we abolish the Democratic Party based on their history? The Democratic Party was founded by Andrew Jackson, a slave owner. For the party of slavery. No Republican owned a slave. Founded by the KKK, they founded the KKK to terrorize both blacks and Republicans. They were the party of segregation, the Indian reservations, and the Japanese-American internment camps during World War II. If ever an organization deserved to be abolished, it is the Democratic Party. I know there is a lot more here could be added, but I just thought I'd go over the high points.
Thank you.
That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Public hearings. VDOT road matters. What got in there? All right, well, on to the zoning matters, Mrs. Emerson.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The first memo that I have presented to you is in regard to an extension of case 17 SUP 245, which is Buckingham 2 Solar. It's being managed by Energix which is their project development firm. I bring this to you because in condition 4 of their special use permit, it requires that the building permit be obtained within 3 years of obtaining the special use permit. This date would expire on August 14th, which is Friday of this week. The extension request was submitted by David Richards, the Director of Project Development of the Interdix Group. Mr. Richards states in his formal letter of request that the process with various agencies has been prolonged due to COVID-19 and its significant impact on the review period. This item was presented as a discussion item only to the Planning Commission on Monday, July 27th at the regularly scheduled meeting. The Planning Commission unanimously agreed. At this time, would it be the pleasure of the Board of Supervisors to grant a 6-month extension of 17 SUP 245? I've attached the letter along with the original special use permit.
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
in regards to what Ms. Edmondson just said, to extend it for 6 months, did you say, Ms. Edmondson?
Yes, sir. Which would take us to
Motion made,
February.
we extend it.
And I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Any other discussion?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay.
It looks here like they waited 2 years and 7 months to file with DEQ.
It did take a while. They did not start a process with me, letting me know that it was moving forward till December of 2019.
But 2 years and 7 months to file with DEQ, and now because DEQ is slow, they want us to give a 6-month extension because they waited 2 years and 7 months to file with DEQ.
Note that if this does expire, they would go, I'm sure they would reapply for this process over again.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
No,
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes. Motion carried. 6. Debson, I think you got, discussion regarding the new legislature, reference to the solar farms.
Yes, sir. As of July 1st, 2020, legislation took place that would allow localities by ordinance to assess a revenue share of up to $1,400 per megawatt as measured in alternating current AC generation capacity of the nameplate capacity of the facility based on submissions by the facility owner to the interconnecting utility on any solar photovoltaic electric energy project. Now, this is all the state code 58.1-2636 revenue share for the solar energy projects. The reason that I bring this up to you this evening is that since the new legislation was enacted July 1st, and given that Buckingham has approved 2 special use permits, actually 3 now for solar farms, I've been contacted 10 to 12 times by prospective clients or applicants that are looking for 1 to 200 acres. They are wanting to know if we have an ordinance for the revenue sharing, and this is something that would allow us to conduct our pre-application meetings with those applicants. So in order for us to take part in that revenue sharing, we would have to have an ordinance in place. So I'm bringing this to you as a discussion item, unless Ms. Carter further or just discussion tonight.
Ask the planning commission to investigate that, or what, I mean?
or is that where this files into joint session?
This would, I guess you could address it as joint, but this would be, you ought to ask Ms. Edmondson to take to the planning commission first. This is
For the
on the
ord-
legislation, right?
This
No,
is
that
in
we-
regard to the
you all would
legislation.
schedule a public hearing, and by that time, Mr. Wright, am I right, we would have the information you need to have the public hearing to adopt this legislation.
Can that go back to the,
This is an addendum, I haven't
to
done
the
all
ones
of
that
them.
we've just approved, or?
The legislation calls for an ordinance
ordinance. If the county has an ordinance, there's a certain amount of elect for each amount of kilowatt when the size of the looking at those things, and it appears that the ordinance would benefit more than otherwise. You can go about getting that ordinance done any way you want to. You need to set it in progress. You can either task the planning commission with it, but probably just task staff with the development of that ordinance and have them. That's totally within your pleasure.
Yeah, this
Okay.
would not have to go to the planning commission, right?
This is not an issue that has to go to the planning commission.
All right, okay. Well, let's thank y'all for the information, I guess.
Is it something?
Consider a joint meeting with the planning commission on August the 17th.
Mr. Chairman, before you move that time, do you want the staff to go ahead and develop an ordinance? Is that what?
I think we should.
You want a motion?
We don't need a motion, just tell us that's what you want to have.
I do.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Want to vote on it, or
No.
we need to vote on it? Yes.
Public hearing on it either.
We do have to have a
Right.
public hearing.
Guess not yet.
After they
Have a
get it
public
ready.
hearing, right? Public hearing on it?
I think he said to bring something back.
Once the staff gathers the information
Then
and brings
schedule a
that
hearing.
document back to you
Okay.
as a
Then you set them.
All right, consider a joint meeting with the planning commission on August the 17th in regard to the cell tower application, case number 20-SUP 274.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I have provided you each with a memo and a letter from Cityscape. The reason that I'm asking for the review in regard to this application is because this cell tower, once application was submitted, it was reviewed by Cityscape, which is our process here in Buckingham, just to ensure that certain standards are in place and that they follow our ordinance. The decision from Cityscape has been to deny this application because, in the essence of this application, it is incomplete, and they have not justified the height of this tower. In our ordinance, in Article 9 of the zoning ordinance, the telecommunications supplemental information, in Section 2, Number 5, it states that here in our county, our ordinance says that our cell towers are 199 feet or below. This application was for a 250 feet, completely 254 with all appurtenances, which is outside of our ordinance. Now, with that application, they would have to justify the height and the location. Per the review with Cityscape, this was not completed per our standards. Mr. Wright, do you have anything further that you'd like to add to this discussion?
Shot clock. In other words, the decision maker for each county has a certain amount of time to act on that, or the shot clock, before the shot clock runs. Well, in trying to have that discussion with them, the application such a date, and if we don't have this joint meeting, they would contend, and we don't want the shot clock to let them have this tower by default without the county having some input in it. The procedure would dictate for the board to be able to make a decision, and rather than it going potentially into default, if you have that joint meeting with the planning commission, then you could take action as to what they think, make their recommendation to the board, and the board could take action. It's simply to a procedure so that the shot clock, if you follow the basketball stuff, doesn't run, and they get it by default without the county having. That's really the request for joint meeting.
Do you need a motion, Mr. Wright?
Actually, if you're willing to do it, I think just when you get down, and Ms. Carter can address this, when you get to the, has to reconvene next Monday night with the planning.
Okay.
All right. We will meet with them on the 17th. What time is that, 7 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. Next Monday. Presentations, Mr. Gary Wood, Central Virginia Electric Co-op.
Good evening, and thanks for giving me a chance to come up and talk a little bit about a grant opportunity to extend a little further broadband internet access in Buckingham County. I am the CEO at Firefly Fiber Broadband, as well as Central Virginia Electric Co-op. Let me give you just a quick update on our progress. This year, we've started work out of our Curdsville substation, which will come up Route 15 and cover Andersonville and some other areas. By the end of this year, we should have service available to approximately 1,150 or 1,200 folks in Buckingham. Next year, we'll have Mount Rush and parts of Tower Hill. That'll add another 1,600 or so. And then the first part of the next year, we'll get Centenary and Schuyler that should finish out. We should be about 4,500 and a few accounts on the Central Virginia electric system. Firefly is not limited to the Central Virginia Electric footprint. So this year, we are proposing that under the Virginia Telecommunications Initiative grant program, we'd like to put in a proposal that would extend from our Curdsville substation area just south of Sprouse's Corner, and I think you probably have some information with the map. It would extend up to Sprouse's Corner, across and then up Route 15, and we cover Dillwyn and up to Bell Road, over and down Bell Road to Scotts Bottom Road and back to Route 60. That area covers 800 homes, or no, 700 homes. It's going to be about 20.5 miles of fiber that would be built. Right now, because of the short time frame in coming up with this plan, I just plan to have it all underground. It's fairly easy ground to plow in, so that'll help us some. There's some potential we could get on some Dominion poles, which would lower that cost a little bit, and that may help us in the long run, but we'll work on that after we get this underway. This is a proposal that we would ask the state to fund in large part through that grant program. The electric, not the electric co-op, Firefly, the subsidiary, will actually put up $400,000 toward the $1.8 million total that we see this project costing. We think it's going to score very well. We've been fortunate to have a couple of Virginia Telecommunications Initiative grants already that we've received in other counties. We have a pretty good feel for what it takes to score well and get those. And we would ask the board to support that application. Buckingham will be giving the time from their staff to administer it. The grant has to come through a county, so we can't apply for the grant. The county actually applies for a grant with a private partner. We will do the work. We'll do all the project management. We'll make sure all the construction's taken care of. We'll do the matching cash. We need the county to provide the staff time it takes to do the administration of the grant. The money from the state would come into Buckingham County, and then you transfer it over to us. We would supply reports to you during construction. You provide them back to the state. So you're the middleman, the county is. I sent a few details out. I'll be glad to answer questions. It's an area of the county that badly needs much better broadband. I have corresponded with CenturyLink by email. They are, I think they're confused. The gentleman's in North Carolina. He told me in his email that 72% of the people in this area have broadband in excess of 20 megabits per second, which is okay because if you're not over 25 megabits per second, you still qualify for the grant. But I would be surprised if 3/4 of the people in that area are running at that speed. But that's what their records show. I don't think we'll have a problem meeting the test to show that this qualifies for eligibility based on the actual speeds received in the community. And even on the CenturyLink website, if you go on and put in some of the addresses, it tells you can't get service at that level. So I'm not sure where his numbers came from. So we're ready to go forward with it. The deadline for the application is next Monday. The award will not be announced till February of next year. And then there's an 18-month build-out timeline after that. So this isn't something that's going to happen immediately, but it's another step. It also provides an opportunity after that to extend further up Route 15, which is Dominion's electric territory. So that's the one area that is still not covered long-term. And there are a couple of different options for how to get there, whether it's for us or someone else. Fiber will be at that stage at that point, and it'll be a little easier to extend a little further up. So I would ask that you approve the application for Firefly to partner with Buckingham County for the Sprouse's Corner Dillwyn project for a BATI grant this year. And I'll be glad to answer any questions. Let me, before I ask questions, tell you that your staff has really gone after this. They have done a great job. They've put time in. They talked to the people at the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development numerous times to make sure that they had a placeholder in. And they've done a great job of trying to push forward and get as much broadband access as quickly as possible in Buckingham. So I applaud them no matter how this comes out.
Good, thank you.
I think this is
Paul,
excellent.
you have anything to say about that?
Sir, I didn't hear.
He said, did you have any comments on it?
You have any comments?
My comment is, I know our staff has worked with you, Gary, but Jamie Shoemaker, our information technology manager, is really the one who's really reached out to Department of Housing and Community Development to get this going. So I want to commend him and also thank Central Virginia Electric and Firefly for wanting to partner with us.
Yes.
Ms. Carter, I've got a question. Is are we who's going to be in charge of writing the grant? Jamie, is that what you're going to be doing, or what's going to happen with that?
You are writing grants.
So the county has to approve the final application and submit it.
Okay.
But we're providing a lot of the information. Jamie's certainly helping with some of the details, but we're probably halfway finished with that application and should be able to finish it up hopefully in the next few days and be well in advance of the deadline.
Okay, so you'll get it to us for us to get it on down the road is what you're saying?
Right, so it goes in online. There's an online port that you go in.
Okay.
And we'll help upload some of that information. Then Jamie will have to certify it all and do the final approval for the county.
Absolutely. Okay, Jamie, you got all that? Okay. That's over my head.
Yeah, mine too.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Central Virginia Electric Co-op's presentation and move forward with the application for the grant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We go ahead and go with the application to
Approve the resolution?
advance with the application. Any other discussion?
I think this is a fantastic opportunity for our county. Thank you all very much.
This is also to approve the resolution.
Yes. All right, call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Wood, you said that CenturyLink said 72%?
Of the people in the area of this project have 20 megabit per second speeds.
It took me 3 years to get the internet through CenturyLink of calling every month,
What's this internet?
calling them and bugging them. I would get a phone call from them from one person saying that I could get it. When they checked, I could not get it. So
Well, CenturyLink's a large organization, and the larger organizations have a harder time finding accurate information in their rural areas, we have found. So that's part of the reason that we're in the situation we're in.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next thing on the agenda is Jim Garrett, Connects Telecom.
Y'all hear me?
I think that's him.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Good evening, my name's Jim Garrett. I own Connects Telecom. We've got fiber down into the edge of Dillon and back up little ways on 20 to the schools, and then back up 60 and on down to the schools and down to the courthouse. And actually, we provide your internet at the admin building and the courthouse for the under a contract from the Supreme Court. We do the courts there. So we've been in the county. We did dial-up years and years ago, and then we used to resell CenturyLink's DSL. So we're very familiar with their DSL in the county and several other counties. I think a lot of people are probably lucky to get 3 to 5 or even 10. But I had a conversation. I actually went door to door, or I stayed door to door a couple weeks ago through Fanny White and Troublesome Creek and High School Road in preparation for putting this plan together. And I didn't knock on doors. I kept driving by until I could find somebody out in their yard because I didn't want to go up because of COVID. But I couldn't find anybody that had over 10 megs. And then actually at the Nazarene camp, the gentleman there had just spoken to a CenturyLink sales rep, and the sales rep told him that there was no way he could get him more than 10 megs at that location. So anyway, we've signed a contract with him. We're going to upgrade him to fiber. But I think around July 10th, Jamie came to me about a VATI grant. I've been watching the VATI briefings and everything and attended all of them for the last few months and talking to a couple of different counties. And I was reluctant to do this. I think probably Mr. Wood and I are at the same point now with all this. CenturyLink has filed their 477s with the FCC. They kind of block people from actually doing, you can't put in for federal money in these areas because they have validated through their 477s, they have 25 meg download, which is false information. We all know that. And after talking to VATI about it, they said, well, if you can get people to tell you that they do not have 25, then we'll make CenturyLink prove it. So anyway, we decided to go ahead and put in for part of this because we have some fiber in that area anyway. We'll just be adding on to it. Ours is a little bit smaller than Central Virginia's, just because if you push through mileage of low-density population, then you end up with $7,000 to $9,000 or more dollars per houses passed, and VATI thinks that you need to be 3, 4, 5 at the most. They don't think that 7,000 is going to get it. So anyway, we found an area, Troublesome Creek, Fanny White, on up 20 to the 20 Market, and then 631 across the street, and then on back down to the middle school where we got fiber. So we just create a loop with the fiber that we've got. The total price of the grant is $532,593.09. We did a pretty accurate engineering study of the area, and I think it's a pretty accurate count. Given that with VATI doing 80% and we figure on a 50% take rate, that comes to $3,277.50 per house or business passed. Our part will be $819.37 for each house or business passed. Our part of Vatty will pay $426,074.47. Connex will pay $106,518.62. You know, we pretty much have most all our paperwork ready to go. We've been into the portal. I haven't personally done any Vatty grants. We've done the Tobacco Commission grant. And it seems to be pretty much the same way. You have to partner with the municipality. We bring you all our receipts, and I'm sure that most everybody has an inventory management system, so they erect milestones, and based on those milestones, your receipts and what you've used and fuel and everything and your wages, it's all documented. Nothing difficult about it, just a little tedious putting it all together, keeping it together. But I don't see any problems. It'll be a big upgrade for a lot of people going there, a lot of people through there. It'll be a big help. And I think Mr. Woods probably covered everything else, but if you got any questions, I'll happily entertain them.
Do we need a separate motion on this resolution? I would move we approve the resolution as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved and second that we approve this, resolution for the applicant to this grant. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried. 6 yeses.
Thank you.
The next thing on the agenda is Betsy Ballinger, President of CAT. Request for a letter of support for a grant.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come and present this to you. I was here last winter talking to you about what my group CAT Action Team does. And I met with Danny Shoemaker and Carl a week or two ago and asked if somebody from the county, or the more the merrier, would write a letter of support for a grant we are presenting to Bama Works up in Charlottesville to spay and neuter more cats down here. So I drafted a letter. It doesn't have to be exactly those words, but the grant is due August 14th. So if I could get something from one or all of you or Danny or whatever in support of the grant request, it would be to your advantage and to the cat's advantage. So I already just today authorized a cat to be neutered at one of the local vets through Buckingham County Animal Control. So that's what we would do with the money that we get. Any questions?
Okay, she's requesting a grant for the animal control facility and for $415,000.
She just wants support.
No, she just wants support.
She wants support.
Just a letter of support.
Yeah, we can.
On,
Second that.
on
can-
county letterhead.
I want a request for support for the grant.
I'll second that.
All right, motion made and second that we support this thing. And any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried, 6. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I think Sheriff Kidd is up next.
Yes,
Oh, there he is already up there.
I'll take this thing off, it's too small for my head.
I understand completely.
Good evening. Here tonight to ask you several things. I request the board approve the transfers that you have attached to your packet there, so I can zero out the ending balance for the 2019-2020 fiscal year budget.
That do a separate motion, then, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
sir.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made second that we, transfer the, reimbursements to zero at the end of the year. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
With the recent acquisition of some new walkie-talkie radios, have several surplus ones I'd like to turn over to the
Okay.
Buckingham Fire Department. No desire.
So move.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made second, transfer these surplus vehicles. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I have 4 Crown Vic vehicles I need to surplus, asking permission to turn them over to the school board. Excess $130,000 average for these vehicles.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we transfer these vehicles to the school board. Any discussion?
Yeah, it's on all the discussion. I was thinking about is it any other departments that might need it? I know we always send a lot to the schools, but.
I got one more that I need to give to somebody that requested it.
Okay, I think social services, they needed some too at one time, but I didn't know if you'd asked.
Asked them before and they said no, so.
Oh, okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Unanimous.
On the same line, we had a request from the town of Dillon. They're trying to get a town sergeant again, and they need a vehicle, so we're glad to give one over to them if y'all so desire.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Unanimous.
And it's also time to pay the fees for the Narcotics and Gang Enforcement Task Force in the amount of $3,000 for the upcoming year.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and second. Narcotics, regional, Piedmont Regional Narcotics, Division. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Where's, Ms. Carter, you have anything to say on this next thing about the,
With Mr. Wilson and the Holiday Lake? Is that
the
correct?
Holiday Lake thing?
Yes, you all entertained it last month.
Yes.
I asked them to come back, so in case you have any questions, that they might be able to answer your questions. And also, you all asked me to check with other surrounding counties about how they were handling on this. Some, I know Amelia, and I believe you advised me another county has approved to fund it. Some have referred it to their grants, CARES Grants Committee money, but you all don't have ours open to nonprofit. This donation would qualify under the CARES money. So you would not have to appropriate this money out of the tax dollars or general fund.
If it come through the CARES money,
Yes, sir.
Also move from it.
I'll second it, Mr.
got a
Chairman.
motion that we,
Making it easy on you, Mr. Wilson. They're making it easy on you.
Sorry, I have a hearing problem.
They're making it easy on you.
I appreciate you letting me appear before you this evening. And before I get into my remarks,
Got a motion and a second.
and I know you will have some questions, obviously, I have a letter. I have a letter from Ruth Wallace that I would just like to read. Buckingham County brings approximately 100 campers, counselors, and training and teen leaders to 4-H camp at Holiday Lake 4-H Center each summer. This number is up from a couple of years ago when the average number hovered around 80 to 90 youth. At camp, many youth have life-changing experiences through the friendships they develop, the skills they learn, and personal growth they experience. Quotes from Buckingham, Charlotte, Prince Edward counties. That's a cluster that camps together. I like 4-H camp because I get time to spend with my friends. Some I only see at camp. I act differently at camp than at home. At camp, I can be myself. There is no stigma. Camp is fun. I get to see my friends in the summer. I look forward to every year because of the campy things we do. We can be silly and have fun, and it's okay. At camp, you learn how to communicate and help others that are different from you. I love being at camp. I laughed a lot, made new friends. I go into love camping every year. Similarly, students at Buckingham County Elementary School and Virginia Christian School have been able to participate in natural resource programs at the 4-H Center where they can immerse themselves in nature for hands-on appreciation that support classroom learning. From Ruth Wallace, your 4-H agent, they don't come any better.
thank you.
Thank you.
Our chairman of the board, Wes Saxon, has something he'd like to show you.
Oh, no, one of our longtime residents, she says she's gonna make 100, she's almost there. Margie King Smith. And she made of the center for us. She just,
That's awesome.
I just thought I'd show that to you, but that's from a longtime Buckingham resident.
Absolutely beautiful.
Very nice.
Gotten from the people.
Brings back many years ago.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to take a vote.
We have a motion for the, give the Holiday Lake Education Center 10 grand. Is any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes. Motion carried. Unanimous. Mary Surratt, Buckingham County Youth League.
I'm not sure I can speak to that one. Can I let it down a little bit?
Will it go down? Down still, Mary. No, that's it, it'll go down, I think it'll go down.
I don't want to mess it up, Jamie.
Not real loud.
Thank you. I'm just here. I'm glad to be here and ready to answer any of your questions that you may have. I will give you a little bit of information this year. Obviously, from the last meeting, you know that we our baseball and softball season in the summer, of course, is our biggest season with usually around 300 students that participate in those sports. This year, of course, we were not able to have it. We finally were able in June, you all approved that we could have the older boys play. So in that, we had one team, and they did play. They had a little tournament, and I sent Ms. Carter, I didn't have a chance to call, but I sent her a list where she can send out to you where we did make a little bit of profit, $62 and some odd cent. But that was wonderful because the boys did get the opportunity. Mr. Saxon coached, and they got the opportunity to participate and at least have something physical to do, and it was some of the young men's last year to be able to participate. This fall, we have got 4 baseball teams that have signed up to play fall sports. We have 2 girls teams, so we are numbers are very much down for that too. Of course, there is no fall football season. That's been eliminated. So one of the reasons we had asked for some help from the county is the fact that usually our spring and summer sports tend to give us the operating funds for the year. Well, of course, that did not happen. So we're a nonprofit, but of course, we do need operating funds. We are sitting at, right now, we did take in approximately $4,000 in terms of registrations, but we've also had to pay out insurance. We've also got to buy new equipment. We've got to buy new balls, softball and baseballs. We've got to pay for umpires. So although we're looking at a balance right now of $8,406.68, that money is going to be gone fairly quickly. We haven't bought the shirts for the students yet or any of that. So at this point, we're just asking for any help that you can possibly give us, because we want to continue to offer opportunities for our students here in the county, especially since they've been pretty much shut up in the house since March with no opportunity to participate in physical activities. So at this point, we're just asking for any help. You know, we put on the letter 10,000, but as far as we're concerned, I have another director here with me tonight, J.T. Gillum, and he can attest to that we're just asking for any help we can get. When we go into basketball, we're going to have to pay to use the building. We're going to have to pay for the janitors, and all of that is going to become quite expensive, as well as paying for umpires this fall. And we just want some help so we can continue to offer the opportunities to those young people in our county. So we're just asking for help, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that I can.
The 10,000, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is something you all are very comfortable with regards to the loss that y'all have
Yes.
seen in revenue.
Yes. Last year at this time, we probably were looking at having around $18,000 to $20,000 to start our new seasons with. And right now we're looking at, it'll be, when you subtract the insurance and the shirts and all of that, we'll probably be looking at around $3,000. And we also have helmets that we still had to recondition for the football, which is another $2,500 that has to come out of that $8,000. So we've got to have them reconditioned. And then what will happen to us again next year, because if we don't have a football season, we'll still have to recondition those and send them off again in the following year. So it's a lot of expense involved in all of this.
Ms. Carter, does the CARES Act help us out on this?
This would qualify for CARES to assist them, yes.
Is the 10,000 going to get you to where you need to be, Mr. Rhett, or is it not?
I think 10,000 will be a big help, you know. We weren't trying to ask for a whole lot to have a whole lot of money left. We were just trying to ask for enough to be able to operate.
Well, I know it'll get you through baseball, fall baseball, but my concern would be when basketball rolls around. I know that you followed suit with the Virginia High School League on football. Are you going to do the same in basketball if they don't have a season, or you're not going to have a season? Or
Yes,
what?
sir. We will follow the same rules that they follow.
Okay. So we really don't know that yet. So I think we need to cross that bridge when we get to it. So, you know, moving forward, I mean, you don't ever know what's going to happen. You can't foresee the future, but I think, you know, we're willing to help you any way we can. And if you feel like that's the number that you need to be at, then that's what it is. So
We would certainly appreciate that.
I'll make a motion that we give them the $10,000 through the CARES Act funding. for the youth league.
Seconded, Mr. Chairman.
This, all right, motion made and seconded. That's coming from the CARES money, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes, ma'am.
Chambers.
Yes. Motion carried, unanimous.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for what you do. Michael Womack, Department of Forestry, presentation of money.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good to see you all again. I'm Michael Womack, Forest Manager of the Appomattox Buckingham State Forest. And I'm here to give you a report on activities on the State Forest in the last year and to present you with the county's portion of the timber sale revenue from the State Forest. So I usually have a list of educational tours and meetings we've had on the forest, but due to the coronavirus, a lot of them have been canceled here lately. But last fall, we did get in a forest landowner tour where citizens of the state were able to come view forest management practices on the state forest that they can use on their own property. We had a Board of Forestry hardwood management tour and hosted a few university classes, including NC State and Lynchburg College. Also, unfortunately, the annual forestry camp that's held over at the 4-H camp for youth every year had to be canceled, so hopefully next year we'll be able to figure out a way to hold that again. On a positive note, I have noticed a lot more public use of the state forest here lately. There's been more people recreating on the forest that I believe I've seen outside of hunting season in the 26 years I've worked there. So I attribute that to outdoor recreation is about the only thing people have been able to do here lately, and they've been taking advantage of the state forest to do that. So we've seen a lot of folks hiking, mountain bike riding, horseback riding on the trails, picnicking at the picnic shelters. There's been a lot of folks overfishing in the lake and just out enjoying nature and getting to be outside. So we're glad we've been able to provide a place for people to get outside and enjoy some recreational activities. We've had some personnel changes this year. At the state level, Harvey Darden, the Director of State Lands, has retired, and Ed Stutes, the former Western Regional Forester, is filling in that position. Our Appomattox Buckingham State Forest technician transferred to the Eastern Forest so that he could work closer to home. And our longtime equipment operator, Junius Miles, retired after 40 years of service with the State Forest. So I'd like to recognize him and all the work he's done the last 40 years, grading our roads and doing equipment work on the State Forest. So that leaves me, the only full-time employee left on the State Forest right now. But hopefully after the General Assembly meets later this month, because we're self-funded, we'll be able to get approval to fill a position. And we were lucky enough before the economic downturn came to be able to hire a part-time person, so I've got him to help me out for right now. Also this year, we harvested pine cones out of our pine seed orchard. We've got a white pine seed orchard and a loblolly seed orchard on the state forest. And we just finished the white pine seed orchard cone picking. And those seeds out of those cones will be used to plant the seedlings for all the Virginia landowners to plant in their cut-over land throughout the state. Another item to note, there are currently 25 state forests in Virginia, and number 26 is in the works. The Land Conservation Fund has acquired the Stanley Land and Lumber Site in Charlotte County, and this property is in the process of being transferred to the department using funding from various sources, and will add 4,944 acres of sustainably managed forest land in central Virginia. So, to the part you've been waiting on. Timber sales this past year on the state forest in Buckingham and Appomattox. We sold 149 acres of final harvest, 23 acres of select harvest, 74 acres of pine second thinning, 429 acres of first thinning. And as you know, the state forest system is self-supporting from the sale of timber, and the county gets a portion of the proceeds from these timber sales. So Buckingham's share of the revenue this year is $33,760.87.
Thank you, Mr. Womack. I appreciate it, and it's so glad to see you every year.
Thank you. Not many come bringing money.
Can you come back next month?
The month after that.
I can split it up in 12 payments if you want. I can do it all at one time. All right, y'all don't have any questions? I'll see you next year.
Thank you so much.
sir.
Other matters for the board consideration, to consider the recommendation for funding of the county operated rescue squad.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the board did task our staff to, or me to, and Mr. Carter to come back to you all with some ideas of how to fund, to operate the rescue squad emergency medical service for the county, which we are scheduled to take over and have to start paying for, I think, December 15th or end of December. So what Cody Davis had provided was the need for about an additional $880,000 for a year, and this would be in addition to any cost recovery that we would receive. So that for 1 year, to operate the EMS until the next budget process and the next tax rate project would be half of that, so about $440,000. So some of the initial startup of CARES qualified for some capital projects that can be funded this fiscal year through the CARES program. As we all know, due to the volunteer squad stepping back at the onset of the COVID, of taking calls, the county did approve to open up the Glenmore Station, which then we put on another 24/7 crew that's paid for by the county. And that certainly has proven to have been necessary and a benefit to the county and its residents during this time. But however, we also know that that building's going to need a good deal of improvements. The state will have to come, I believe, Mr. Davis, I'm right, and actually inspect that to make sure it's brought up. So we can use some of the CARES money, and what opened the door for us to use the CARES money is that during this pandemic, we were left with having to provide additional services for Rescue Squad. So it's been taken, so we really searched and looked at everything, because as of last month, we were actually looking at a 5-cent real estate tax rate to be imposed effective December on the citizens. And I know that the Board of Supervisors during this pandemic certainly did not want to do that to the citizens, nor did our staff. So we worked hard to try to find at least 6 months of operation. And we did find that through Mr. Davis's emergency services budget has been operated very conservative this year, and they will have about $150,000 that we can carry over, that I will bring back to you next month to carry over to use in the EMS department starting December. Also, we had $200,000 as appropriated this year to the volunteer rescue squad. We do not feel like we'll be distributing that whole $200,000 to them, since the county will be taking over the management of that in December. So we anticipate roughly having about $100,000 of that. So that brings you to $250,000. And the other issue is we are able to use CARES money to pay for the one 24/7 crew that the county put on. We're able to use the CARES money to pay them. So the cost recovery that comes from that, we can ask you all to appropriate into the EMS fund from now until December. I think of the date we've probably $90-some thousand already been billed. So by December, that's I believe a conservative figure. So that's how we propose that you all could pay for this until July 1, which, as we know, unless a miracle comes, it's inevitable that something will have to be done to bring in some more money by July 1. I provided you some funding sources. The one issue would be to do an emergency services district. The county would do this by an ordinance. They'd create an emergency service district. The county would then levy a tax base or using real estate values or personal property or both. Using this ESD scenario, it's important to know the State Corporation Commission values are not included in the real estate values and personal property. Tax relief is also not allowed on any new rates put on the personal property. So a penny real estate would, to provide $880,000, would make our rate 57 cents. $176,000, so it would take 5 cents real estate, if we do it in using real estate in an emergency service district, it would take 5 cents to raise the money. A penny of personal property tax only brings in $11,000, and that's a moving target. That's based on, averaged out the last several years' personal property values, but we all know people trade vehicles, sell vehicles, get new vehicles, so it's a moving target. But based on that, you do get about $11,000, and it would take about 80 cents on that personal property tax rate to bring that to 880. So I think the board acted very responsible in sending us back to the table so we can have a little more time to try to do what's best for the citizens. So if we did, another option would be if you did not form a district, you could put the tax rate is now 52 cents. If you just put a rate increase on real estate, you would get $214,000 a penny instead of the $176 in a district. So that would be 4 cents on real estate to bring in the money you need. That would make your rate go from 52 to 56. The personal property tax rate, again, would have to go to $4.85. But you can work with both and put some on each, but it would be very difficult, but you can do that because we're only once a year personal property tax, but that would be an option. The machinery and tools tax provides $75,000 a penny, but it would take an $11.80 additional to get that money you need. That would take your machinery and tools rate from $2.90 to $14.70 to get that additional $885,000. A penny on your aircraft brings $4,000 a penny. So that rate is now 55 cents. And I even feel kind of silly saying this, but the rate on aircraft would have to be $210 a penny to get the $880,000. So I think you can see from all of this why generally, although we agree it's not always fair, that it goes back to real estate because you get more bang for the buck with the real estate rate. Other options that we will be looking at your direction would be the food and beverage tax and cigarette tax. We talked about this. There is no way to get that implemented in time to get this money in by December. If we had not found this other money, it wouldn't have worked. But at your direction, we will work to try to right now to try to figure out how much money you would get from meals and beverage would be very difficult because the restaurants have been shut down. So to get their sales and average out what we think we would get in order to recommend a percentage rate would be difficult right now. But given a little time by the next budget process, Mr. Carter and I can look into that. Another question that came to our attention by several people, if we could levy an emergency service tax fee on each household in the county. Currently, we do not have an authority to do so. I guess we could look at, I would have to check with the county attorney though, to petition the state for authority to impose that solid waste management and disposal fee, but then we ran into perhaps how would we make sure we could collect that money. So that kind of sums up that. We have found, and well, I'll go to that in the next item, but we have found that we will get an additional right at $1.5 million more CARES money. That we can, and that's why this opened up the doors for us to not try to impose a tax increase right now on the citizens. So I asked your pleasure if you want to accept a recommendation or if you want us to look further into any of the funding sources I've spoken of.
I think we need to table it right now until we can, figure out which direction we're gonna go, so.
Can we do both?
You do not have to take any action if you want us to use the money that we feel we have, will have to use.
To use CARES Act money?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And
we can't use CARES Act money, we can't use CARES Act money to pay for the rescue squad. We will be using funds that we have, and some of that has been freed up by using CARES money for some other projects. So it's not that we're gonna use CARES money at all to operate the rescue squad. I don't believe that would qualify. But some of the qualified uses of the CARES money has freed up some money that we can have.
What you think,
We
we got
wouldn't have
enough
to
money
take
to go ahead and make it to April next year, is that what you're saying?
We have enough money, and of course, this is all estimates, because we're not exactly sure what's gonna cost to operate the squad, but this is based on the numbers that Mr. Davis has worked so hard on, of a scenario on how to pay for it. But this should get you until July 1 of 2021, which then in April, you'll be considering that at the budget process,
Right.
these scenarios. And we will work on the meals tax and the cigarette tax and those to try to give you a scenario on how much money that could bring in by that time.
Okay.
A motion?
Don't really need it, well,
All right. Do you want a motion on the,
accept my recommendation for covering the funding of the squad until the next fiscal year.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
Second.
Y'all heard the motion, and, any other discussion?
And that's why Ms. Carter continuing to explore these other revenue options that staff has looked
Yes.
into.
Yes.
I definitely think that's a definite need.
Said that. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. Yes.
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried, unanimous. Consider authorization to accept the additional CARES money.
so move.
Second.
Who's the second that we accept the additional CARES money? Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes,
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried, unanimous. Next thing, consider authorization to allot the second town of Dearborn's portion of the CARES money on the same agreement as the first portion of the town's CARES money allotment.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
second,
Motion made and seconded, we authorize the second agreement, a portion of the town's money. Is any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried. Consider resolution in memoriam of James Jim Allen Myers. Any discussion on that?
I'll move that, Mr. Chairman.
So, second.
We, consider resolution of memorial for James Allen Myers. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
yes,
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes.
Motion carried, it's unanimous.
And I'll remind you that we do have several resolutions in memorial that you all have approved, that generally after you all approve to do it, some family members will come in to accept it. Due to COVID, we have not had that, but as soon as things get clear enough, we will bring the families in of all of these and to present to the family.
Yes. Next thing, consider CARES funding for internet access for Buckingham County School System students.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we fund this. I think it'd be a great thing to help out the students.
Motion made that we.
I'll second that.
And second that we fund the internet access for the Buckingham County System students. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Bryan?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, if I could make a comment, because I know there are some parents tuning in tonight to let know what this really is. And it was good to hear all those hearty yeses. What this will do, it's a new program through Verizon that is due to the COVID, but they can provide hotspots to those students to take home with them, a little device that do not have internet service. Now, it does have to be in an area where Verizon is good service, although Jamie is looking at the other dividers to see if they want to get in on this. But this is a program through Verizon called the Distance Learning Program for pre-K through 12. So it's a great opportunity. We'll be working with the schools. It'll have to be implemented through the schools. But this is a great opportunity. School started today. I know a lot of people have been very nervous, especially those that don't have service. But I just think this is a wonderful thing. It shows our Board of Supervisors is looking out for you all as a community. So I'm glad to see this. So stay tuned for your connection.
That's great.
Mr. Chairman, Jamie, about how long are we talking about?
6 months.
7 to 10 business days from when we sign.
10 business days?
7 to 10 business days, yes, sir.
That's fantastic.
And that's on 500 units.
500?
500 units, yes.
Did you talk to T-Mobile and Sprint?
Yes, sir, I did. T-Mobile is offering us the exact same pricing as Verizon. Sprint is not. Sprint is, right now, they're at $35 per access point. Currently, we're paying $20 through this one. A little bit higher. We're waiting on some quotes back from U.S. Cellular, and between Verizon, U.S. Cellular, and T-Mobile, I really feel as though you've got a good coverage of the county. We just haven't got the pricing back from U.S. Cellular yet.
Okay, just a quick background. I did talk to Dr. Hicks. For those areas, you know, Jamie, you and I talked about it as well. There are going to be some areas in the county that I don't care what we do, you're probably not going to get internet service. That's where the mobile hotspots will come in from the buses. So we're looking hopefully at getting everybody in the county, the school children, with internet access.
Great.
So
I'd like to commend Supervisor Bryan for bringing this to our attention, and Jamie for jumping on board. This program hasn't been around but a couple weeks, 2 weeks. So this is a great opportunity to be jumping on board in time to help within 7 to 10 business days. So I appreciate that.
Thank you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Don.
You'll both get a chocolate cookie.
Next.
Consider a letter of endorsement to the governor for Supervisor Jordan Miles' appointment to Virginia Tobacco Region Revitalization Commission. That means we get free cigarettes, Jordan?
I would just like to add that having a representative from Buckingham on the Tobacco Commission is a big deal. It is just good to have someone from our area. Right now, there's no representative in our region. So we, in that process, letters of endorsement is a good thing to have to present to the governor. Supervisor John Edwards has submitted Supervisor Miles' name for consideration of this appointment. I provided you with a letter to the governor from the Commonwealth Regional Council that's endorsing Supervisor Miles for this appointment. So I asked you all to also approve a letter of endorsement for us to have a county representative on the Tobacco Commission.
So moved. Second.
Move to second that we send a letter to the governor for recommendation for Jordan Miles. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers,
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Motion carried.
Wasn't as enthusiastic as the last motion. Sorry, Jordan.
Guess I need to take up smoking or something.
Can you feel the love?
I can, all of it. Thank you, gentlemen.
I guess the next thing on the agenda is Mr. Davis, Emergency Services, Health Equity Pilot Progress Program, rather.
Good evening. To start, I'll give a quick update on the situation here in the county. The State Department of Health website indicates we've got 605 total cases currently, with 23 hospitalized and 8 deaths. Just a quick communication with our health department contact a little bit ago. He said that we're having a slight increase here lately, roughly about 2 new cases a day, for a total of, at this point today, roughly 10 active cases. Those are not DOC related. He said they're more community spread type events, isolated to workplaces and families within the same household. But to move on to the actual agenda item, late last week, the State Department of Emergency Management reached out on behalf of the governor's office. They've partnered with his diversity officer to develop a health equity leadership pilot project. And basically they took all of the zip codes and census data for the state and identified some areas of vulnerable and at-risk communities, and Buckingham pinged the map. So they reached out to us to see if we would be interested in this state and local partnership, where we would basically be able to provide to those communities life-saving PPE and educational materials. They give all of the materials to us. We're tasked with coming up with how to distribute it. They've got some good ideas. You know, we could partner with the Crystal Cathedral meal delivery service and a couple other things like that. So I believe, you know, similar to the other initiatives you guys passed tonight, it's another one of those things that you all would take on, looking out for the community as a whole. So I support it. I think Ms. Carter supports it. I don't have a whole lot of information on it other than the literature that they sent. I'm scheduled to do a conference call this Thursday to get a little bit more information on it. But yeah, I guess, like I said, I think it'd be a good thing for us to do, and I'm here to answer any questions for you if you'd like.
And this is at no cost to the county, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Davis?
That's my understanding.
I think it's a good idea.
Mr. Davis, you'll be getting some more information on that through the conference call, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Going into executive session.
Other board matters?
I think there might be some county attorney matters too.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I would be happy to.
Yeah.
The, actually on item J on the agenda, there was an item 4 that didn't get considered. Dealt with the joint meeting with the planning commission, but item 4 comes about because when we began to consider that application and the situations with that, it appeared as with technology and otherwise evolving as fast as it does and changes as it does, that there may have been some limitation in our ordinances dealing with those situations that allow spec towers. And while this does not necessarily relate at all to the application that you considered earlier, we take the position that if an application were to come in before you adopted this, and we would have to go by the old rules and not by the new rules. So the one you're meeting with the Planning Commission will be totally by the old rules and not by anything. But in talking with the consultants who advised the county cityscape, they recommended a couple of items just to put into the article. If you got good eyes, you probably have this in front of you. There are 5 little changes that are made in there. It adds 2 definitions. It adds some language that an applicant has to provide, pledging their obligation to really go ahead and get the thing built if they're going to do it, rather than just creating a tower and otherwise. And then there are definitions in Article 9, a definition in the other part of the zoning ordinance. So one of the changes says that if there's a conflict between 2, what's in Article 9 will prevail over the other items in the zoning ordinance. I guess I'm asking you, you've had a chance to review it, but not a chance to study it. I guess I'm asking you in faith to consider adopting this currently, and that would be on an emergency basis, then advertise for a public hearing on it, and then come back within 60 days and make it permanent if you're so inclined. That closes a window in case somebody comes in and wants to apply and really potentially use it as a spec situation.
So move.
Second.
Second, that we adopt the emergency ordinance as is. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
And may I take it in that the staff is authorized to advertise for permanent adoption at the next meeting?
Okay.
Thank you.
Bryant,
Yes.
Matthews,
Yes.
Bryan,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles,
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes. Motion carried, unanimous. We have executive closed session.
In first, Mr. Bryan. Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Carter.
Ms. Carter's report, then other board matters.
Okay, it's very, very short. The first would be the status to date of our applications received for the Small Business Support Program. I think we have about 3, but we do know of a few more coming in, and the deadline is the 15th. So if you know of anyone that's planning to submit an application for some of the CARES money that's a small business due to their business being shut down or just due to loss of money from the COVID, you have until the 15th. So that's pretty much all I have under my report this evening.
Okay.
Other board matters.
Chairman, Scott Frederick is on the line. He's been earlier, but he's on
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
We didn't have any.
I don't think we had any.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Voice from my past.
Okay. Sorry about earlier. I think I got logged in a minute too late there, but my bad on that. So I have a quick report of the kind of what we've been up to for the last few weeks and where we're going. I guess if you've been traveling throughout the county, you've seen us mowing the secondary route. So I'd say we're somewhere between 2/3 and 7/8 of the way complete. We're almost done with the secondaries. As soon as we get those done, we're planning to switch over to the primary route. We had some bad erosion problems on Route 669, Rocky Mountain Road. We got the ditches cleaned out on that road, so that's back in good shape. We're going to be placing some asphalt patching and leveling on Route 607 and 662. Once we get done doing that, those routes are going to get surface treated. We took care of some piles of debris that were left from a machining operation that we did on 769 Highview Road. And we got it, you guys brought some stuff to our attention last month. We got it scheduled for later this week. One of them was on Crescent Road. There's like we refer to as a transition strip where you come off of 15 onto Crescent. It's kind of falling apart, so we're going to start by tearing that out. We're going to end up putting some better stone underneath of it, and then we're going to replace it. So I did not realize that was in that bad shape. I hadn't been down that in a long time. So thanks for bringing that to my attention. On 631 Troublesome Creek at 60, we also have it scheduled to repair those radii where traffic turning in and out of that road kind of beat the shoulders down. So we're going to get that fixed hopefully this week. Then the Old Shepherd's Road, the work that we did there last year where the surface treatment that was put down, the oil shot was really heavy, and we fought it last year, and it seems like those hot days that we had a few weeks ago made it start bleeding again. Right around the time we realized that was going on, the weather kind of cooled off about 15 degrees, so it doesn't. We're going to try to treat the top of it with sand to help kind of absorb some of it, and it doesn't make sense to do it unless we get another one of those really hot days. But since it's only the beginning of August, I feel sure that we'll get some more heat to work with. So we got that. We're kind of sitting on go, ready to do that. And then back to talking about 631 again. There's some bad approaches at the bridge end, and we're working on getting that scheduled. We kind of have to do that in concert with our bridge office. So we're going to kind of join forces, and they're going to cut it out, and we're going to haul. The residency office is going to do the hauling, and then after they get it put back in the way they want it, we're going to fix the road. So we're still working on getting that scheduled. So then a couple other things I wanted to mention. We've completed the mainline stonework on one of the rural rustics in the county, Route 763. So we're going to be getting ready to shoot that soon. And then there's a logging operation about to finish on Route 676. As soon as that logger gets done, that's when we're going to start work on that one. And then the only other thing I wanted to really mention is that we're doing a safety improvement on Sharon Church Road. We're going to be putting some widening and leveling down on that road, so you'll see us out there soon. But I'm glad I got to give you guys that report, and I was just curious if you had anything that you wanted to bring to my attention.
Anybody have anything?
I'd just like to say thank you for addressing those concerns in District 3 so fast, so appreciate that, Scott. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Anybody have anything? I don't have anything. Thank you, Scott.
What was that, sir?
I said thank you. I don't have
Oh,
anything.
okay. Well, yeah, great. You guys making it easy for me this month. I appreciate that.
All right. We don't have any executive session, do we?
Yes, sir.
I have two things under other board
And
matters,
we had to
Mr.
do an
Chairman.
addendum to go in closed session.
I have two things under other board matters.
Okay.
Looking at the letter under, looks like 04, Ms. Carter, do you know if the Piedmont Area Veterans Council would qualify for CARES Act money?
I would have to look to make sure. You all do have money in the budget for them, but I would have to check that.
If they qualify for CARES Act, my recommendation is to give them $10,000. Because I don't think we gave them any money this year.
$2,000.
Yeah, that was last year. I don't think we gave them anything in this year's
This year,
budget.
No, we took the money from Haddon
Didn't we
Fern
have a
and gave
request for them?
We took the money from Haddon Fern and gave them, remember?
For this year?
Yeah.
So they hadn't
This year's
heard,
budget.
not
Okay.
wanted.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Just wanna check
put
it.
that money over to them, but,
Really?
What I heard.
we
Yeah, it
get,
seems that their building is in need of drastic repair.
Right.
well, I got no problem.
You look into that and bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay.
I'll look into that.
Okay. My second thing is, using CARES Act money, I know that we've all had a chance to look at the school improvement projects, and something I want you to think about, I'll get some exact figures. There's a couple hot water heaters that I think would qualify under CARES Act money. They're industrial hot water heaters. And then there's the walkway under the school complex that would qualify under CARES Act money, so the kids going over don't interact with the kids going the other way. If we could, I'll get you the exact figures for that, if we could possibly entertain CARES Act money for that as well. That's all I have.
Now, I will try to look into whether that will qualify.
Okay. And Mr. Chairman, I move we go into executive closed session under section 2.1-3711.A.7, consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where such consultation or briefing in an open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of the public body, and consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Carter, you said we had another,
That's it. That's it.
just this one? Okay.
We had a motion, we go into executive session?
Bryant?
All in favor? Oh, yes.
We gotta take the vote. We gotta take the vote.
I don't know if you have to take a vote or not, do we? Yes. All right, yes.
Brian, Matthews,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Miles.
Yes.
Chambers.
Yes. Motion carried, go into executive session. All right,
I like
ready?
that side. That's good, Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we return to open session and certification that in the best of each board member's knowledge, only business matters related to the code of which the executive meeting was convened was discussed or considered in the closed executive session.
So, second.
All right, motion made that we return back to, regular session. Motion made and second is, call for the vote.
Bryant?
Yes.
Matthews?
Yes.
Bryan?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Miles?
Yes.
Chambers?
Yes?
Yeah.
Huh?
Trash.
I got it, I'll put it in the bottle, I want to.
Yeah.
Put it in the bottle, they're good.
Turn to recess to reconvene.
We need to reset.
We're gonna reconvene.
We need to.
Next Monday. Yeah.
We need to,
Seventeen.
result of the executive closed session.
No.
All right. Meeting recessed until, to reconvene on August the 17th at 7 o'clock.
I could just, man, I could just had a meeting at 6 o'clock.
I would.